So there's a situation going on with a popular aquarium that has a lot of people worried about the health of this stingray and her unborn pups. This is a story that has gone from fascinating to extremely concerning, especially with an extremely alarming new update that was recently posted that has a lot of Charlotte's followers extremely worried. Meet Charlotte the stingray, arguably the most famous aquatic animal at the current moment, with articles constantly being written about her, endless TikToks being made, being discussed by celebrities.
Female stingray is pregnant, so this is Charlotte, the pregnant stingray.
And even making a quote-unquote appearance on Saturday Night Live.
Here to comment is Charlotte, the pregnant stingray.
For those of you who do not know, this stingray has been constantly reported on for several months. I'd say it's for fair reason though, as she does have a very unusual pregnancy. Charlotte is a California-round stingray that lives in an aquarium by Team Echo, residing in North Carolina. The stingray is estimated to be about 12 to 15 years old, according to this article written by E! News. While being at an older age for a stingray, I think. Google says they live between 15 to 25 years, so I'd guess that's middle to oldish age for a stingray. Anyway, it was reported on February 6th on Team Echo's Facebook page that Charlotte was pregnant despite having no interactions with any male stingrays within the past 8 years. Good morning, Facebook followers. This is a post you might want to read. Our stingray Charlotte is expecting. We have held this close to our hearts for over 3 months. We have ultrasound images confirmed by 2 supporters. The really amazing thing is that we have no male ray. We do have a couple possible reasons for this event. We will go into our next ultrasound on Thursday, February 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope you join us. It's a once-in-a-lifetime science mystery to take part in. At the time of posting, she was already 3 to 4 months along, meaning that we're going back to around October to November when she got pregnant. Despite not having any interaction with male stingrays, Charlotte did share a tank with male bamboo sharks. At first, this caused a split between people who believed that this was a miraculous pregnancy, an immaculate conception, if you will, or if she was going to be having shark stingray babies. It was claimed that 2 male sharks were added into the tank a few months prior, sometime in July, and that when the sharks mate, they can leave bite marks, and that bite marks were allegedly left on Charlotte.
We put 2 very young male sharks in here at the end of July. They were just a year old. We couldn't find any research that told us they'd be viable, that anything could happen. But we started seeing bite marks on Charlotte, and we didn't think about it until one day we kind of like, oh my gosh, sharks bite when they mate. She had bite marks. There's a potential that she mated with one of these young male sharks.
Which is why they thought of the possibility of a new shark stingray species. But experts came out to share that the likelihood of that was nearly impossible. Many claim that what was really going on was parthenogenesis, and please don't make fun of me if I mispronounce that word, I'm trying my best. Parthenogenesis is a really rare occurrence where reproduction occurs without a male's contributions, if you will. According to an article written on phys.org, this is considered to be a phenomenon that can take place with insects, fish, amphibians, birds, and reptiles. It's further described and clarified in this article that this isn't cloning, but that a female's egg fuses with another cell and triggers cell division that leads to the creation of an embryo. This is all really fascinating information. Normally on this channel, we're complaining about reprehensible things, but today you're getting a biology lesson. But don't worry, this is about to take a left turn. This is important to mention because throughout Team Echo's posts regarding Charlotte the stingray, they do sometimes mention it as cloning.
So the unique thing about Charlotte is we don't have a male ray. So Charlotte could be providing these eggs via what's called parthenogenesis, which is where the female develops an egg. And if the instances for life are right, the cells in the egg will split and create a clone of the mother.
And later on, we'll dive deeper into the potential misinformation being spread by Team Echo and the confusion that it causes. The same article also shares a statement by a scientist who claims that this is the only documented case that they have seen in stingrays. So I've noticed some things in this article that in hindsight definitely seem like some red flags. We'll get into those in a moment. On February 8th, 2 days after the pregnancy announcement, a live stream was shared on Team Echo's Facebook page documenting another ultrasound for Charlotte.
What we're going to do, we found out that Charlotte is expecting, and it's a really strange and unique phenomenon to happen. She's carrying somewhere between 3 and 4 pups in her. Small sharks and rays are called pups.
Another post was made to Team Echo's Facebook on February 11th. Facebook readers, with all the interest and chaos surrounding Charlotte, I'm going to ask that you please do not use our platform to wonder and research to make a personal stand or comments to prove yourself and your knowledge to other readers. We are a very unique site with staff and volunteers who work hard to care for our marine and reptile residents. We research and train and promote science education and adventure. Charlotte is a special and lovely fish. We are sharing her experience with you as a way to learn together. It's our gift. Please do not disqualify our event. Just because something has not happened or has not been documented does not make it impossible. Science is discovery. And besides, none of us know what has happened in the big ocean because we are not always there. Team Echo was founded to reach, to teach, and to dream. Thank you. So I'm going over this chronologically to make it easiest for those who haven't heard of this story to understand all of the details. With that being said, I once again have to interject to say that there is a lot of hindsight when going over all of this, as well as when it comes to whether or not Team Echo really knows what they have been and what they are dealing with. TikToks and Instagram posts were also being shared at this point as well. There are several posts made about Charlotte in the month of February, with updates being very frequent at this point in time. A couple of weeks passed and still no delivery. Team Echo made another Facebook post. Dear Facebook followers, I am here at the aquarium visiting with Charlotte. Charlotte and her aquarium family so appreciate your support in this amazing journey. That doesn't sound worded right, but okay. As we await the delivery of the pup or pups, which is interesting because they did mention at one point that there were 4 pups.
She's carrying somewhere between 3 and 4 pups in her.
That keeps changing. Anyway, I think one of the hardest things to focus on is that this is not a typical ray pregnancy. We can find no precedent or data that gives a specific gestation time frame. Charlotte is showing no unusual behaviors or changes in eating pattern. Patience is the game right now. Again, thank you all so very much for your support and good wishes. Publicity really started to pick up for Charlotte and Team Echo around the middle to end of February as the videos that were posted on their social media garnered millions of views. People were freaking out about this stingray all over TikTok at the time. Everyone was expecting little stingray pups to be born any day at this point. So I have actually been a follower of this story for quite some time. I'm not somebody that would check every single day, but it would pop in my head every once in a while after finding out about it back in late February, early March, and I'd think to myself, I wonder if this stingray ever gave birth yet. But as weeks turned into months, concerns started to grow as updates became less and less frequent, and no little stingray babies had been born yet. On March 9th, this post was made to Team Echo's Facebook page, which seemed to be some kind of collaboration with a local coffee company that would donate a portion of their profits towards Team Echo. I blocked out the name of the coffee company because I don't want them to receive any negativity for affiliating with Team Echo since they are in some hot water currently. No pun intended. But yeah, this coffee company doesn't seem like a big franchise or anything like that. It's not like a Starbucks. It seems like a small business from my understanding. And to be clear, I do not condone any negativity or harassment being sent to Team Echo or anybody mentioned in this video either. I am even taking extra steps to make sure certain names are redacted just to prevent that a bit further. But on top of that, I also just don't find it necessary to add in this additional information because what the takeaway really is that Team Echo really wanted to reap the rewards of Charlotte's publicity. Another example of this is a post on March 16th stating, here's this Saturday's Charlotte update. Be sure to look at Charlotte's Amazon wish list. Link in bio. So I've clicked on their bio and it does provide a link to a wish list, but the wish list seems to have nothing on it. I don't know what happened if they removed everything off of the wish list or if they've never added anything to it to begin with. If anything was added to it though, it is gone now. If there were items on this wish list, I don't know if they were for Charlotte or for the aquarium itself or anything else. Like Charlotte's pups, it seems to be a mystery. By the way, an Amazon wish list or a small business collaboration isn't inherently bad by any means. If this were any other circumstance, this wouldn't even be worthy of mentioning. I just find it suspicious looking back at everything we now know regarding this situation situation. At the end of May, several months after the announcement of this pregnancy, still waiting on updates to hear about how she is doing and how her pups are doing, and if she's going to give birth to living Stingray pups at all. I genuinely want to believe that Team Echo is doing everything that they can to prioritize Charlotte's health, but I and many others are extraordinarily concerned that Team Echo might not be doing this for the best reasons and might be prioritizing Charlotte's publicity over taking care of her properly. And I want to make it clear that's just a concern, an opinion that I have. That's not me stating that that is exactly what they are doing as fact. It's just something that a lot of people, including myself, are worried about. Social media posts about Charlotte began slowing down but continued through March into April. On April 13th, a video update was posted.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Charlotte update for 4/13/24. In this update, we will highlight a new development with Charlotte. Charlotte has lived with us for 8 years. During this period, she has dropped her barb several times. Each time, she has regrown a new one. The latest barb drop was February 28th, 2024. Charlotte is currently in the process of regrowing a new barb, which we see as a sign of health and thriving in her environment. Charlotte's behavior, resting, and eating patterns have not changed since our last update. We thank you for your kindness, patience, and support.
Well, the comments on TikTok at this point were more sarcastic and on the humorous side.
How long is this going to take?
I got pregnant a few weeks after Charlotte and my baby just graduated college last week. This sea ravioli is testing my patience. Are we sure it's not just gas? Can we do a C-section? Okay, you need to go to jail for that one. On Team Echo's Facebook page, however, people began to express more concern for Charlotte's health in a more serious way. I have no idea who to contact. Can anyone let authorities know about this? At this point, it's either neglect, abuse, or fraud. They haven't even had a legitimate veterinarian see her. Again, these are just comments made by others that are concerned. I'm not stating anything as fact, I'm just reading what others have said. It's suspicious, and I've studied biology, marine, and zoology, I think? Yes, parthenogenesis has no set time, but it usually follows the regular schedule or is faster. How they are handling the situation is concerning to me. I'm sure that many people that study biosciences are just observing as I am, and I even saw some say they offered their services but were declined. I probably will get blocked for this comment. I think it's time for an outside evaluation. Can we see an ultrasound, or at the very least be told whether or not the ultrasound has shown live pups, please? Video updates continued at a slower rate up until April 27th. Now an entire month ago at the time of recording this. As of this time, this was the last known video of Charlotte that was posted on any of Team Echo's social media. Charlotte update for 4/27/24. Charlotte is doing well and enjoys interacting with guests and the divers. Her favorite thing to eat this week was scallops along with silver sides. We thank you for your patience and kindness during Charlotte's journey. Have a great weekend, everyone. More people began to grow concerned in the TikTok comments, some stating, "This post was 3 weeks ago. What happened to Charlotte? Team Echo, is everything okay with Charlotte and her pups? We haven't had an update. I am due June 12th and I'm convinced that I'll have my babies before her. What is happening?" Even more concerned comments on Facebook stated, "I can't imagine that she is viable at this point," meaning that the pups are still alive. "If she was ever pregnant, her pups are more than likely deceased. I'd be concerned of her passing away from the deceased pups." I've been quiet about the length of time this is taking. Someone please call a vet or specialist. And most notably, there was this comment which highlights a new concern. Why have her sores not healed and continue to grow? So not only has it been nearly 4 months at this point since her pregnancy was announced, but TehMimi also claims that she was pregnant for 3 to 4 months prior to that post in February, so this is nearly an 8-month pregnancy so far. On top of all of that, people are pointing out some serious physical concerns, such as a sore on her body, as well as her overall growth and health. Some have claimed that this is due to the parthenogenesis potentially extending the pregnancy, but many others are concerned. Another concern that's been brought up by many people is the possibility that Charlotte's pregnancy could have been paused. Yes, you heard that right. There's a really lengthy article written on the Assembly by a journalist named Emily Catano. I hope I'm saying that name right. While I will not be going over this entire thing, a few points really stuck out to me. There's also a process known as dispause, through which a stingray can pause a pregnancy if conditions aren't right. Although Bowles, who was earlier in this article stated as a director of the Aquarium science program at a community college in Oregon, that would usually happen early in gestation, not when birth is imminent. Water temperature and stress can also impact the length of gestation. If Charlotte is stressed or in colder water than normal, her gestation might last longer. So people have been wondering if Charlotte could possibly be under stress or in the wrong environmental conditions. Some have even speculated her being neglected due to the sore, or as we'll see later, ulcer on her back. On May 8th, a text update was provided on Team Echo's Facebook page. Charlotte has shown very little change this past week. As the care of our animal family is of the utmost importance, we have aligned with expanded support and medical teams of qualified veterinarians for additional testing. We continue to work closely with this team, sharing any observation changes or notes on Charlotte. Staff is taking extra care and time with Charlotte as we continue this scientific process. We appreciate your continued support and excitement as we navigate this unfamiliar area of science and marine biology. The choice to word it as expanded support threw quite a few people off, as many are now questioning, have they not had the proper medical support for Charlotte prior to this? Also, the comments were turned off on this post. And now that I think of it, in that live stream with the ultrasound, they didn't have vets doing the ultrasound on the stingray. They had two young employees or volunteers, I'm really not sure what their position is in this aquarium, but two people that did not seem like veterinarians from what I know, in my opinion, doing this. And this is what was said during that ultrasound live stream.
Come on. I see one, disc shaped, right now. We actually had to learn how to read an ultrasound machine. One more resume builder for us.
So they're learning about this as they're doing it, instead of getting the proper veterinary assistance? After receiving so many concerned comments and questions on previous videos and other posts, on May 15th, a somewhat snarky text post was made and quickly deleted from Team Echo's Facebook page. This was luckily captured by a TikToker named TikTok's Thirsty Mom. I didn't make that up, by the way. That's actually what their page is titled.
May the 15th, Charlotte the Stingray update. Apparently, Charlotte the Stingray, after not having any posts with her in video for the last 2 weeks, will bring us her own update later this evening. That is what they are telling us, so we are going to wait with bated breath to see a stingray write her own social media post.
The post goes on to say, "Good morning. Let me, on behalf of Team Echo, thank you for your continued patience and support through this journey. After talking with Charlotte, we agreed that she should write her own update later today. As trying and hard as all of these events have been on us, please look to her side. Like us, Charlotte is awaiting a word from her team of vets. Nothing in life, science, or time is certain. We continue to support and care for Charlotte every day. Please trust that when we know more to share, we will. Charlotte will update this evening. Thank you so very much." A few days later, on May 17th, this was posted. Charlotte continues to appear healthy and has shown little to no change in any of her behaviors or temperament. There is no new information to share at this time. As more information comes available, we will share it directly. We appreciate your support as we continue our care for Charlotte and strive to better understand this area of science. Comments on this post were first available but seemingly disabled after a period of time, but some comments are still visible. Facebook is weird. When you disable the comments, you could still see the people who commented before you disable comment, unless you disable comments before you make the post, at least to my understanding. So some of the comments that still remain state, "I'm beginning to feel like this is a publicity stunt. I have really defended this whole situation, but a little more transparency would really go a long way if you're trying to avoid negative attention. Just my opinion. Instead of the textbook line, Charlotte has had no change in behavior, etc., there has to be a way to know more information on what's going on with her, because at this this point, it's been a considerable amount of time. It's 2024, can we please get a live cam? So the last comment here is actually really ironic. Remember earlier when I mentioned we'd revisit the phys.org article? The article, written in February, mind you, stated this: Charlotte currently lives in a tank that is about 2,200 gallons, or nearly the size of a construction dumpster. The owner of the aquarium said that they're hoping to get a tank nearly twice that size to accommodate Charlotte's offspring. They also want to put live cameras up for people to see them. To my knowledge, live cams were never added to Charlotte's journey, other than the live stream of her ultrasound. What happened there? Why did they mention that and not follow through? Along with that were some strange comments left by the team looking back on this article now. When first discovering she was pregnant, they stated, "We were all like, shut the front door, there's no way. We thought we were overfeeding her, but we were overfeeding her because she has more mouths to feed. You mean to tell me you didn't know if you were overfeeding the Stingray or not?" Also, now that I think about it, and listen, I'm just asking a question here. If you know a lot about aquatic life, please leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this. If they ruled out the whole shark Stingray baby theory, why were they not concerned about the bite marks on Charlotte from the sharks? Why did they not try to separate her from the sharks if they were biting her? Even if they did crossbreed, if she constantly is getting these scratches and, as you'll see later, maybe even more distinct wounds, shouldn't it be a priority to separate her from the sharks? Or is that some sort of normal activity for aquariums? Please, again, if you know more about that, let me know in the comments below. I don't want to make an issue out of something that may not be, but to me, that seems concerning. Going back to the Assembly article, it discusses how experts have allegedly been blocked by Team Echo's social media after making comments attempting to correct misinformation. I went to the comment section with the idea that the least thing I can do is correct people's misunderstandings about the biology, right? That's when Bowles said he realized that the Aquarium and Shark Lab by Team Echo had blocked him. A spokesperson for Echo denied blocking scientists, but Bowles provided screenshots that back up his claim. Even further into this article, which again is a very lengthy read that I will link below, it states this: months went by without pups, and the aquarium social media updates have become more and more sporadic and vague. The behavior of the aquarium staff also became increasingly bizarre. Bowles and others say the owner of the aquarium and her team blocked people who asked questions or shared scientific information. Other marine biologists also weighed in on the matter in this article. Marine biologists were also disturbed by the shark-ray hybrid claim. David Schiffman, I hope I said that right, a marine conservation biologist at Arizona State University and widely followed public science communicator, said he first learned about Charlotte when relatives and friends asked him about the stingray who mated with a shark, an idea that Schiffman knew was cuckoo banana pants. Sharks and rays are separated by as many millions of years of evolutions as humans and snakes, he said. If a human tried to mate with an anaconda, a lot of things would probably happen, but one of those things would not be a half-human, half-anaconda baby. It's clickbait garbage, said Damian Chapman, a senior scientist at Moat Marine Laboratory and Aquarium in Florida, who first discovered the parthenogenesis in cartilaginous fish in 2007. Chapman and Schiffman were disturbed both by the absurdity of the claim and that the aquarium was cheerfully propagating it. When challenged, they said, "Well, scientists don't know everything and we make new discoveries sometimes," Schiffman said. "There are some things about the universe that we know to be true, and perhaps it's not great that an aquarium responded in that way, given the supposed role of zoos and aquariums and science museums in educating the public." It was then pointed out that a comment on Team Echo's Instagram reel, again, the latest video update that we are currently aware of posted on April 27th, changed the story from Charlotte expecting 4 pups to 1 pup. The pup is rolled up and not easy to see. Rays are cartilaginous fish. I hope I'm saying that right. So no solid bones to bounce ultrasound waves off of.
She's carrying somewhere between 3 and 4 pups in her.
And then things get even more interesting. The writer of this article and journalist, Emily, actually visited this aquarium and conducted interviews with other visitors outside of the aquarium, and she had the police called on her for it. They kept changing the story, bringing in new possibilities. That is not a sign of a normal scientific veterinary process, Bowles said. That's a sign of somebody who has an answer and keeps building new stories to support the answer they want to be true. So I decided to go to the aquarium to see for myself what was up. Inside, I asked the teenage volunteers behind the counter if I could tour the aquarium and interview staff. I had emailed the owner for an interview before heading to the aquarium, but I heard nothing back. They told me I couldn't go in as a reporter without permission from the aquarium's pro bono PR representative, a woman named who lives in Arizona. I emailed and asked the volunteers if, in the meantime, I could buy a ticket and enter the aquarium as a normal guest. You are definitely allowed to go back there, one said. I wasn't allowed to conduct any interviews in the aquarium, and I'd seen all there was to see, so I decided to leave and come back at 3:15 for the ray feeding, hoping to learn more official information about Charlotte. I did a person on the street interview outside on the sidewalk with visitors who had come to pay homage to Charlotte, then settled down on a public bench to wait. That's when I was approached by the police. The officer asked if I was a news reporter, then explained that they had received a call that I was harassing people. I told her I'd only interviewed one couple who had been eager to talk. The officer said I could carry on with my work as long as I wasn't harassing anyone. Then she and a second officer walked into the aquarium. When they came back out, they told me that the owner wanted them to book me for trespassing. They weren't going to charge me with anything, they said. I looked quote-unquote sweet, but if I went back into the aquarium, they would have no choice but to arrest me. There were more details added into this article. If you want to read the full thing, I will link it below. She also requested the recorded 911 call and included it in the article also, and the clip includes the caller claiming that Emily was harassing people outside of the aquarium. I'm not going to play that recording here, but it is in the article, which once again is linked in the description. Yeah, this is really sketchy in my opinion. This is evidence to show that they are in fact changing their story about Charlotte on their social media platforms. Also, a journal visits the aquarium and asks some people outside questions, and they call the cops on her, allegedly making false claims about her harassing people. Something is definitely not right here. On May 23rd, another TikToker, Spellbound Stitchery, made a video going into more details regarding Charlotte's health concerns. People have been visiting the aquarium and sharing photos of Charlotte recently since, as of the time I record this, Team Echo seems to have stopped showing her on their page and only providing text updates. In this TikTok, Spellbound Stitchery shares a photo that displayed an ulcer on Charlotte's back. This is what another commenter referred to as a sore that we mentioned earlier in this video. Other health concerns were also brought to attention.
Her tail, the structure of her tail is also looking like the rest of her, and that is really indicating a loss of muscle mass and a loss of like just healthy, robust stingray. We knew that she was losing muscle mass all around her body just from other structures, like between her eyes and then like behind her eyes, and then also like the cartilage around her like fins and stuff. Like this is what we've already discussed. The radiating lines, you can see them, they're really deep. I have photos of them that are very, very pronounced, and then the ulcer. So they saw the ulcer, they said it was larger. They saw, her tail is not looking very good. Her body is just not in very good shape.
She also mentioned that reports on Charlotte's swimming patterns have changed, potentially due to these health issues.
She's been dealing with these physical issues so much that she's compensating for her body's deterioration by changing how she swims to get around. Like how she gets around is different than how a healthy ray gets around. And what the folks that I spoke to said that suggested the compensation, the way that she's moving is changing. She's learned to deal with it because she's been dealing with it for so long.
Names were mentioned in this TikTok that experts reached out to help provide care for Charlotte and were allegedly blocked for it, which lines up with what we read in that article.
Sadly, what has been reported to me is that multiple qualified professionals have reached out to offer pro bono care, and they were met with getting blocked.
The last thing Spellbound Stitchery mentioned in this TikTok was that this situation appears dire, which is both worrying and heartbreaking. Sadly, some believe that the pups, or pup, may already be deceased at this point, especially if this was a parthenogenic pregnancy, because apparently parthenogenic pregnancies, I hate saying that word, have a higher likelihood of being unsuccessful.
Or it could be even that the embryos are not surviving or have died, and she's reabsorbing them to take those nutrients in. So sometimes they'll abort embryos that just aren't well or have died, and in some cases they'll reabsorb some of the eggs and things like that aren't going to be viable.
Also, over the past week, reviews have been left on the aquarium's page, and they are not good. By the way, I want to make it clear, I do not condone posting false reviews or sending harassment towards this business or any business for that matter. Please do not go and try to send nasty things to anybody who may be involved in this business. Please do not go harass this business on social media. That is not what this video is for, and I do do not condone that. The reviews that I'm reading here will be ones that I believe are genuine and express concern in this situation. Now, as far as I am aware, anybody can make a review on this page without visiting, so I'm only reading 2 reviews that were confirmed to be local guides, one including a photo that they had taken at the aquarium. In my opinion, this facility is more akin to Frankenstein's lab. They are exploiting an injured and potentially ill animal for financial gain. This quote-unquote lab is actively blocking trained professionals that are offering their services pro bono, which makes Echo's intentions crystal clear. Hashtag cancel Team Echo. This person again also provided a photo of Charlotte, and this photo very clearly shows the ulcer on Charlotte's back. And yeah, that ulcer on her back definitely looks really nasty, and I hope they're getting it treated because that desperately needs treatment. Another review posted by another local guide stated, "I am very concerned about Charlotte the Stingray and feel the public is being betrayed by Team Echo. While they may have initially believed that Charlotte was truly pregnant, she now has been quote-unquote pregnant for the length of a human gestation period. It is being reported that multiple marine biologists and qualified vets have reached out to provide assistance to Charlotte, yet these offers are being declined, and people are being blocked from your site. You have stopped providing updates about Charlotte, and it's clear from recent visitors that your quote-unquote aquarium that Charlotte appears very unwell with ulcers and signs of poor health." It says help, but I think they meant health. "You used this lovely ray to garner attention for your aquarium, drawing in the public and then completely ghosting us all. We don't care if Charlotte is pregnant or not at this point. We are all just worried about her well-being. Your continued silence and lack of action are damaging your reputation. Do the right thing and get Charlotte the help she deserves. Otherwise, you are demonstrating unethical behavior and a blatant disregard for the health of an animal in your care. We demand transparency and immediate action to ensure Charlotte's and the other animals in your care's health and safety." So this review in particular is worded perfectly in my opinion. Every concern is summed up in just the right detail, and I could not agree with what this person said more. With how much this aquarium has used Charlotte to bring in more attention to their business, it is genuinely upsetting to see this being the outcome so far. So many people have been eagerly waiting for updates on Charlotte and her pregnancy. Even if the updates aren't good at this point, Team Echo should be transparent about it, and they should be accepting any help that is offered to them at this point, because it's very clear that Charlotte desperately needs extra care. As somebody who was genuinely fascinated by this situation a few months back, this is extremely heartbreaking and very worrying to see. And while I do hope that Team Echo is doing everything they can to get Charlotte more help than what she seems like she's been receiving, I also hope that if they are mistreating her in any way, that something can be done about it and that she can get the proper treatment from somebody else. I am trying to be careful with the way that I word this because I understand that some of this is speculation and I don't want to make accusations when there may be some sort of explanation that we aren't yet aware of, but I think it's also important to point out that yes, there are very visible signs that this stingray is not being treated the way that a pregnant stingray should be, in my opinion. Or at the very least, there does seem to be some very apparent health concerns. Since they are so vague about what's going on, I can't tell you with certainty how they are treating her, but I do know that many have spoken out against them at this point, and I do know that there have been many claims, as we've gone over throughout this entire video, that experts have reached out to help and they've been blocked or declined, allegedly. Despite not being an expert in aquatic life, I am trying my best to bring as much information to this situation that I can with the research that I have provided and looked into for this video, and I hope that you are able to see the timeline of events here and are able to come to your own conclusions about this situation with everything that I've discussed with you today. I do hope that Charlotte is doing okay and that her pup or pups are still alive and will be born soon, but realistically, I'd also be lying if I said I wasn't worried about her condition, because this is going on for a very long time at this point, and with time continuously ticking by, it seems less and less likely that her pups are okay. And at this point, the best thing that we can realistically hope for is that Charlotte will be okay. So in a typical TehMimi video fashion, just as I thought that I was finished with this video, new information has developed regarding Charlotte from the Team Echo page, and the update is not that good. Before we get into that though, this TikToker who we mentioned earlier did post an update on her TikTok page, sharing some new photos which revealed that Charlotte's wound wound looks like it is healing, which is good. But with that being said, this is the update that came just a few hours ago at the time of recording this from Team Echo's Facebook post. We regret the delay of updates regarding Charlotte. This time was necessary to gather data and analyze lab and testing results. These reports were shared with our care team. The reports show that Charlotte has developed a rare reproductive disease that has negatively impacted her reproductive system. The findings are truly a sad and unexpected medical development. Our priority is to focus on Charlotte's health and well-being. That should have been it from the start, in my opinion, but okay. We will work with and be guided by veterinarians and specialists to better this disease and the treatment options for Charlotte. These specialists should have been involved from the very beginning, when it seems like they might not have been. While the research of this disease is limited, we hope that Charlotte's case and medical treatment will positively contribute to science and be the benefit to other rays in the future. I'm getting sick of hearing them talking about science, 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 when actual scientists and biologists have been voicing their concerns and being blocked for such for the past few months. I'm growing extremely frustrated with this situation because at this point it seems like this poor animal is suffering over this aquarium's desire to get publicity. Again, that's just my opinion. We sincerely appreciate the incredible outpouring of love and support for Charlotte. Please respect Charlotte and her care team as we navigate this unexpected news and work to determine the best path forward. Updates will be given as we are able. So I'm curious, was Charlotte even pregnant this whole time, or did they not know what they were doing when they were doing the ultrasound themselves? And was this misdiagnosed as a pregnancy when in reality she has a reproductive disease? Or did she have that very rare type of pregnancy that caused this disease as a complication? Or was it coincidentally both? These are obviously just questions. At this time, I have very limited knowledge of this new developing information, and I am not any type of scientist or marine expert of any type. If you are somebody who knows more about aquatic life and marine biology, etc., please let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. I'm very curious to see what is going on and what other people's thoughts are. At this time, it seems like many other people are also frustrated with this situation. I do apologize for ending this video on such a negative note. I do have hope still that Charlotte will be okay and that she will be taken care of, but I am increasingly more frustrated after finding out this new information, now wondering if she actually will be or not. Before we go, as I've been mentioning in my previous videos, I have some links in the description below if you would like to lend a helping hand to some people who really desperately could use some help right now. There is a link to a GoFundMe to assist a doctor who is in Palestine right now, and his name is Dr. Muhammad Attallah. His GoFundMe is to support his medical mission. I have discovered this GoFundMe and Dr. Muhammad Attallah through Operation Olive Branch. I will be linking his GoFundMe in the description below, as well as Operation Olive Branch, and also my Instagram as well, because I've been posting more about Palestine on my Instagram. It will be linked down below for you to check out. As I continue to make videos, I will continue to shout these out. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon, and thank you so much to anybody who has provided me a super thanks. With that being said, I will see you in the next video, and I hope you have a very great beginning to June. I will see you later.